You're watching Let the Quran Speak, and now we answer your questions. If you have a question, visit our website, QuranSpeaks.com. Dr. Shabir, here is the question. If a person dies by suicide due to severe mental illness, will they still be held accountable on the Day of Judgment for their action?
Yeah. So before I answer the question, Safia, I need to offer a caveat. Sometimes when we answer questions, we're cognizant of the fact that the answer might be misused.
Okay.
So it will be a misuse of the answer if we arrive at the conclusion that the person will not be held accountable. And someone says, so the sheikh said I will not be held accountable. I do have depression or anxiety or mental illness, and so I can take my own life and I won't be held responsible. So, that will be a misuse of the answer. But then, having offered that caveat, we must be clear about the answer as well. So in the Islamic tradition, it is... let me start with the Quran itself first, right? So in the Quran, it is very clear that God is not going to burden anybody with more responsibility than they're capable of bearing, right? The Quran says that again and again, La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wusaha. God does not hold a soul responsible for more than they are capable of, right? Elaborating on this in hadith, we find mentioned that the pen which is writing down the deeds of people is lifted. So it's not inscribing anything on three people. With regards to three people. One is the child until the child reaches puberty. And two, the person who is asleep until the person wakes up. And third, the person who is not mentally fully there until they become aware. So then the awareness is the question now. Like, how aware is the person? Now, outside of Islamic law, we have in common law more generally the idea of criminal responsibility. Was the person criminally responsible at the time of that crime? Okay, so in Islamic law, based on this hadith as well, we can see a similar thing at play. So we're asking, was this person of good, sober judgment that they knew what they were doing is wrong, or they should have been in a position to know that what they're doing is wrong?
Okay.
So if the person is mentally not fit, then that it's between that person and God. So I think we should all proceed with trepidation, knowing that we're ultimately responsible before God. We're taking the life is not a simple thing. And we don't want to regret that in the life hereafter when God asks us, okay, why did you take your life? I'm the one who gives life and takes life. So why did you encroach on my domain? That seems to be the whole idea against suicide. So for a sane person to commit suicide, no, the warning in hadith against that is severe. And the Quran says, وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Do not kill yourselves.
Okay.
إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ بِكُمْ رَحِيمًا. God is merciful towards you. So we may be suffering from illness, from depression, anxiety, from so many different problems, and it might seem unbearable at times, but we should be aware that God is there for us, and He will be merciful to us, but in His own terms and on His own calendar. We cannot force the issue.
It's beautiful that Allah mentioned Rahim like in that same verse.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes. He is merciful. But yes, ultimately, like if we're asking, what about this relative of mine who we know to have been mentally incapacitated, and they committed suicide, and now we found their bodies, dead, and we are horrified by the whole thing. And now we're worried, okay, this poor person, we pitied him in this life, and now this person is going to have to suffer forever in the life hereafter. Like, what's the fault of this person? He didn't have the mind to know the difference between this and that, and to realize that what he's doing or she's doing is wrong. So if somebody is thinking of in this way and worried about this other individual, we could say, no, don't worry, because the pen is lifted against the person who is away from the person who is mentally incapacitated. And it's up to God to judge them, but we have hope that God will admit them into paradise. They suffered enough in this life, and we don't want them to suffer in the life hereafter. And we do make dua for them that Allah will give them every bit of ease and happiness and tranquility forever in the life hereafter. So this is the proper use of the answer, not for the individual to think, oh yeah, okay, now I can and take my own life, and the sheikh said I won't be responsible. But for us to think about the other person who has done this and keep making dua for that person and having the hope in God that God will be merciful to that person, because after all, the person did not have that mental capacity to be judged by it.
Thank you for that explanation, Dr. Shabir.
You're welcome.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Muslim Media Hub, the new home of Let the Quran Speak.
Here we spread positivity and good. We help people experience the beauty of Islam and help them appreciate and understand Muslims.
This beautiful building we purchased at cost $2.3 million.
Yeah, we've already raised a third of that money, and with your help, inshallah, we can pay off the rest.
So we're looking for people who can give $1,000 each. If you can be part of the select group, that's amazing.
Otherwise, just please give whatever you can. Every dollar counts.
It's our collective responsibility to share the message of Islam with our fellow human beings. Please help us continue this good work.
It's a sadaqah jariyah, something that will continue to be a benefit to the Muslim community long after Safiya and I are gone.
Please support our work at muslimmediahub.com.
Your support is zakat eligible and tax deductible.
May Allah bless you and your loved ones today and always. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.